Strength and conditioning is a complex field that requires knowledge in anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, and much more. That's why advices from experienced coaches are so valuable, and today I want to share one that I received myself when I first started out in this field. We'll take a closer look at the Nordic curl, why this exercise is sometimes criticized, how to work around its limitations, and I'll finish with another great hamstring exercise that too many athletes overlook. Quick reminder, in a Nordic curl, you start on your knees with your ankles anchored to the ground, and then you let your torso fall forward while staying tight and controlling the descent. This works the hamstrings in their knee flexion function with muscles such as the biceps femoris short head. First, you work it eccentrically as you control the descent, and eventually concentrically if you can pull yourself back up. The challenge is that you're fighting against a good chunk of your body weight, and because knee flexion is usually a weak link, especially in beginners, most people can only control the first part of the descent before either dropping to the ground or stopping when a cramp kicks in. Here's the problem. In this situation, you're only working a small part of the full range of motion. You start from a bent knee position, and as you lower, your legs extend. But once you stop controlling the movement and just drop, your hamstrings are not working much anymore. It means that, in this situation, the Nordic curl provides a great eccentric stimulus, but only at the beginning of the range when the knees are bent. The further the leg extends, the less actual work is being done, at least for most people, not everybody. Some people can control the full range of motion of the movement, which over time might develop some relative weakness in athletes, especially with a straight leg position. And yet, that's exactly the position where hamstrings need to be strong for sprinting, accelerating, decelerating, changing directions, jumping, and so on. Add to this the fact that the biceps femoris short head is under greater stretch when the leg is straight, and the risk of injury goes up. So, does this mean the Nordic curl is useless? Absolutely not. It simply means that we need to adapt it to fill in the gaps for every individual. The core issue is the inability to train through the full range of motion. The solution? Use a resistance band. Here's how. Have your athletes kneel under a bar, wrap a resistance band around this bar and have them hold the band as they lower themselves. The band provides assistance. It stretches more and more as the athletes lower deeper. This allows them to maintain better control in the full range of motion because the band takes more and more of their body weight away when they're lowering. And pro tip, instead of just holding the band, loop a second band inside the first one, which will create two handles that can turn into a harness, freeing the hands of the athletes and making the exercise much more comfortable. Now let's step back. Hamstrings have two main functions, knee flexion and hip extension, which means they're stretched not only when the knee is straight, but also when the hip is bent. In exercises like Nordic curls or lying leg curls, you're training your knee flexion with your hips in an extended position. What's not being worked is your knee flexion with bent hips, which means you're never working your hamstrings in the fully lengthened position, stretched from both your hips and knees simultaneously. This matters because having strong hamstrings in this position is critical for athletes, especially sprinters. Enter the seated leg curl exercise. It's a very basic machine exercise but highly underutilized in strength and conditioning. When sitting on the machine, your hips are bent, meaning you are training your knee flexion while your hamstrings are fully stretched. This allows you to train knee flexion with bent hip, which is a position that's very interesting for sprinting and many other athletic movements. When programmed properly, the seated leg curl can be a very interesting addition and very valuable exercise to athletes' hamstring trainings, and yet it's often overlooked. Takeaway? The Nordic curl is not a bad exercise, not at all. It simply has limits. Use a band to master the full range of motion if needed and complement it with some seated leg curl movements. This way, you can reinforce your hamstrings in their fully lengthened position. Those two exercises together can create a very interesting and very valuable way to reduce injury risk and train your hamstrings properly. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything else, feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you want to contact me straight through my social medias, the links are in the description. I'll see you next Sunday, and until then, train hard, stay consistent, and never forget, make yourself proud.